What's up, family? Man, everybody's woke now. You know what I mean? Everybody's woke now. And yet it still seems like the planet's going straight to hell. You know what I mean? Everybody's woke now. Everybody has universal consciousness and they're all that, and yet shit ain't got a whole lot better. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's got any better, just being real, it looked like every day shit or every year shit just get worse and worse as far as humanity's sake, and it is what it is, um, but yet this is the woke generation, I don't get that. And it's a trip because years ago, I was in the Air Force, I was in Montana, and this is a difficult conversation for me to have because I really don't talk a lot about this kind of stuff, although I spent years studying stuff, years studying stuff, okay? 94, no, excuse me, in what, 93, 88, 80, I went to Air Force in 88, I'm tripping. I went to Air Force in 88 when I graduated high school. And I got with some guys in Montana and young black men, and we're studying, Malcolm X and, Marcus Garvey and just the whole history of America, the civil rights movement, the Nation of Islam, and just all the other little groups that was going on, the Black Panther Party, how it began, why it began, how it was demised or destroyed, and just a whole bunch of different things, right? The government's involvement and all of that. And yet I thought I was woke. Stay with me. I studied that little bit of history. And I've always been like a history buff, I've always loved history. But I studied that little bit of history in American history. And I knew so much more about our history at 18, 19 years old than most of the black men and women that was in the Air Force at the time. That was way older than I was. You know what I mean? Stay with me. And so me and my little friends, man, we would go to the library and just start studying stuff. We were studying stuff and we just vibing and just spitting out knowledge and stuff to each other. Man, did you see this? Man, did you hear about this? And da-da-da-da-da. And we just, just like 5, 6 young black men just spitting out from all over America, just spitting out knowledge and just stuff to each other. You know what I mean? And we thought we were so fucking enlightened. We thought we were so freaking deep. We thought we were woke. One of the, I was invited to this Mason ball, black and white ball in Montana. And there was an older guy that worked in the hospital with me. Didn't really like me too much, thought I was arrogant and just cocky, and I was, you know what I mean? But for whatever reason, he had this disdain towards me. And let me back up before that. When I went into the Air Force, I had braids, right? Cornrows, whatever you want to call them, going all the way to the back. And I had some beads on the bottom of my braids, red, black, and green. And had a little black rubber band underneath the beads to hold them all in place, right? So I'm in basic training. First night you get there, you get off the bus and unlock an Air Force base. And this black captain or major, I can't remember. I want to say he was a major officer, right? And so he's walking up and down and he's yelling and barking. It's nighttime. I'm tired. It's been a long freaking day. I'm just ready to crash. You know what I mean? I already know the game. I already know the mind tricks. You know what I mean? I know the intimidation tactics. None of that shit means anything to me. You know what I mean? And so, man, I see all these guys standing there and they're trying to teach us how to stand at attention, and we're standing there and I'm like, not really giving a fuck. You know what I mean? I don't give a damn. I'm just ready to crash. Fuck this bullshit. Say what you got to say. Man, let us go to bed. You know what I mean? And so, this guy's walking up and down. He's just yelling and barking, getting in people's face. He's like 6'3", 6'4". And, he's looking down at them, barking at them and yelling all in their face. I mean, like close as hell. And so, guys were shivering and scared. And they're like, what the fuck is this shit, punks? You know what I mean? Y'all straight bitches. That was my mentality. Stay with me. And so he came to me and he was like yelling at me and shit, right? And I'm just looking. And I already know the game. Everybody's already laced me up. And, and again, I'm from California. I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? You can say what the fuck you want to say. Don't act like you don't put your hands on me because we got a problem there. You know what I mean? And I already know the game. They ain't going to put their hands on you. They're going to just bark at you, try to scare you and break you down psychologically so they could build you back up. All this stupid bullshit, right? That I wasn't falling for because I was fucking woke, right? Stay with me. And so he gets up in my face. He starts barking at me, and I just start smiling at his ass. Like, man, I wish the fuck this motherfucker would. You know what I mean? And that's what was going through my head. I wish this motherfucker would flinch wrong. You know what I mean? He catching a right cross to the fucking dome. Just flinch wrong. Act like you gonna do some shit. I know I'm gonna get in trouble, but it is what it fucking is. I don't give a fuck no how. You know what I mean? That was just my attitude. And so he's yelling at me, and I'm not phased. I'm just smiling at his ass, right? And just looking at him eye to eye, because that's how I grew up. I look at motherfucker, we gonna look each other eye to eye. I'm not intimidated by you. I don't give a fuck about you. I don't know what your rank or your position is, but that don't mean shit to me. You know what I mean? You're gonna treat me like a fucking man. And that's just all there is to it. I don't give a fuck. And so he's just yelling, and I'm looking at him, just smiling, just... I'm trying to let them know that I'm not fucking phased. I'm trying to let them know that I'm not intimidated. I'm not none of these other motherfuckers around here that's shivering and scared and all this other shit. And motherfuckers crying and stuff. And it's like, man, no. I grew up on the streets. I done seen some shit. You know what I mean? I done been involved in some shit. This don't move me. This don't impress me. How loud you talk don't move me. Don't impress me. The loudest motherfuckers always seem to be the first ones to get knocked the fuck out. You know what I mean? The loudest motherfuckers are always the ones that really ain't about that. They hoping they can intimidate you with their fucking bark. And so it's the quiet motherfuckers you got to be worried about. It's the quiet motherfuckers that's plotting on some shit. It's the quiet motherfuckers that going to put your ass to fucking sleep. You know what I mean? They just going to give a word and just, it is what it is. And so I'm not saying shit, right? But I'm just smiling at his ass. And he asked me where I'm from. And I said, Cali. Man, the whole place lit up. You know what I mean? It's as though I just cussed this motherfucker out. And so he just, what the fuck is a Cali? And I could tell from his accent that he was from the South. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, standing there. I'm like, this motherfucker. You know what I mean? And so he just starts going off. Oh, you motherfuckers from California, y'all from Hollywood, y'all from white picket fences and woo-doo-doo. He just going on palm trees all in your front yard. And he just thinking all black folks from California live that glamorous lifestyle, right? And so I'm sitting and I'm laughing because like, this motherfucker's ignorant as fuck. It's fucking hoods out in fucking California. It's fucking ghettos out here in fucking California. Everybody don't grow up on the fucking beach. You know what I mean? With beachfront property. Everybody ain't got that mama daddy figure in their household. Everybody don't come from that well-to-do, background. You know what I mean? Upbringing. There's a whole bunch of grimy ass motherfuckers in California. There's a whole lot of motherfuckers put your ass to sleep out in California. But he's talking like California's a bunch of bitches and black people don't know the fucking struggle. Stay with me. I'm going somewhere talking about being woke. But he's putting black people down and he's black. Talking about black people don't know the struggle and whoop-doo-doo. Y'all don't know what it's like to be oppressed and whoop-doo-doo. It's like this motherfucker right here. You know what I mean? And so he's doing all this shit right here and I just start busting him, laughing at him in his face. He's like, you got me fucked up. That's what I told him. I said, you got me fucked up. You got Cali fucked up. And so he's standing there looking at me, right? He's like, Meet me in my fucking office first thing in the morning. He's just like, on one, right? And so he points to the sergeant, get over here. And the sergeant's coming running over there. Make sure his ass is in my fucking office first thing in the morning. So everybody's looking like, damn, like I don't fucked up, right? And it's like, I don't give a fuck. I really didn't want to be there. You know what I mean? I really didn't want to be. I'm in Texas. I hate fucking Texas. I didn't want to be there, right? And so I'm like, damn. I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? And so they put us to bed and everything. And, you know, we get up in the morning. Sergeant, my instructor, come and gets me. Hey, let's go down to the commander's office. I didn't know he was the commander. I didn't give a fuck anyways. And so we standing outside his office. The instructor knocks on the door 2 times. The commander says, open it. We walk in. And so he tells the instructor to leave. And so I'm standing there, right? And he goes to parade rest. This is where you put your hands behind your back. And I'm just got my hands behind my back. And I'm just standing there, just staring at his ass like, what the fuck you want? You know what I mean? What, you gonna pack me up, send me home? I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? What, I'm getting kicked out? I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? What the fuck you gonna do? You can't do shit to me. You know what I mean? You gonna put me on a fucking bus and send me back home to California? Thank you. You know what I mean? And so he just looks at me and he starts smiling. And I'm like, oh, this motherfucker trying to do some sneaky shit. You know what I mean? He's trying to get me to break down and let my guards down. Fuck you. I ain't playing this game. You know what I mean? And so I'm standing there just looking at him, right? And he was like, I'm going to tell you something. You have a strong personality. That's going to take you far. But it's not going to take you far in the military. That'll carry you far in life. You'll be able to accomplish anything you want to do with that type of personality, that type of demeanor. You know who you, this is what he said to me. You know who you are. You know what you stand for. You're going to need that in life. It's refreshing to see a young black man with that type of attitude. But let me tell you how the military works. You know what I mean? And so he starts lacing me up about the military shit, right? And so I'm like, okay, cool, whatever, right? So fast forward, I'm in Montana, and this I'm invited to this black and white ball. There's a couple of Masons that I know that they don't really give a fuck about me because I'm from California, you know what I mean? And back then, again, we're talking about in 88, 89, we had the East Coast, West Coast thing going on, you know, in the hip hop industry, where it's all about the West Coast, you know, to people on the East Coast, it was all about the East Side, you know what I mean? And so I'm at the black and white ball, and the bigwig from Washington state jurisdiction, he oversees Montana, and he comes at the ball. He's at the ball, and I don't even know how we met up, but he bumps into me, and we start chopping it up. He asked me if I'm Mason, tell him no, and so we sitting at the table, and we just chopping up 30, 45 minutes, right? Everybody else trying to talk to him, he's pushing people away. He wants to have a conversation with me. So we're sitting there just chopping up about life, just all kinds of stuff, right? Get this guy, get this young man an application. We need to get him in here. And the guy he said it to happened to be one of the brothers in the hospital with me that didn't give a fuck about me, right? And so he never got me an application, and it is what it is. Stay with me. I'm giving you guys a long story, but I'm gonna bring it forward as fast as I can. I gotta give you the background first, right? And so I don't think nothing else about it. I have a good time there, and it's like I'm out. You know what I mean? So I get to Guam, 93, 94. They start talking to me about being a Mason. I meet this guy, Mr. Jordan, who's now retired Marine, and we just chopping it up. And he asked me if I was a Mason. It's like, nah, you know, somebody else asked me about that in Montana, and I explained to him the situation. And so we're chopping it up, right? And so Mr. Jordan asked me, well, what books do you read? I'm in his office. He's like, what books do you read? And I was like, I don't really read too many books. You know, I study stuff, but I don't really read too much, you know? Like, I don't grab a book and just read the book all the way through. I'll go back through and I'll look at newspaper clips or whatever, just for historical stuff. He said, but you don't read books? I said, no. And he starts cussing me out. All the world's secrets are in books, but you ignorant young motherfucking black guys think y'all know every fucking thing. He just goes off on one, right? Just cussing me out. And I'm standing there and I'm like, I want to be a Mason now. So I know I can't say no shit to him. I know I can't be disrespectful to him, right? So I understand why I was so triggered. I understand why I was so offended at all the shit that he was saying. At first I was pissed and I was triggered by what he was saying. And as he kept talking, it hit me. Elijah, you're triggered because you know the shit he's saying is real. You know what he's saying is the God's honest truth. That's why it's pissing you off. That's why it's offending you so much, because it's true. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, this guy got my attention. So he gives me this book to read, Black Boy. Man, I read the book, come back a couple of days, tell him what the book is about. He gives me another book, Invisible Man. Black Boy, I can't even remember, Nathan Wright, I believe. Richard Wright, I believe. I haven't read that book in years. And then he gives me another book, Invisible Man, Ralph Ellison, I believe it was. I read that book in like 2 days, came back, told him what the book was about. And he was impressed that I read these books. And so we're chopping it up, and he's like, man, I'm taking you under my wings. I'm going to vouch for you. And we're just da-da-da-da-da, right? So I get into Masons. He's walking me through everything, man, and just, I get elevated fast. I'm like, they're fast tracking me. I'm just a sponge, just just gaining everything, just, So I'm a 32nd degree Master Mason in 1994. I'm talking to you guys about that because at that point, I thought I was woke. At that point, I thought I had it figured out. But it was a trip because being woke is not a destination. Being woke is a process. Stay with me. There's a process to waking up. There's a process to that. And so many of us, we want to shortcut it. So many of us, we think, oh, I watched this one video. I've read this one book. I watched several videos on this. I've read several books on this. I'm woke now. No, that's not how it works. So I'm a Mason, 32nd degree, and I'm studying. I got access to all this information, and I'm just reading and just studying. And when I say I'm reading, it's family. I would spend 6-7 hours a day studying everything I could get my hands on. Everything I could get my hands on. I come to California, man, now we got internet. I got a computer now. Man, I have access to the World Wide Web. Man, there's everything on the web. You know what I mean? Everything online. You can find anything you want. And so I'm just doing some, I'll get off the military, come home, take care of the kids, put them to bed. Man, I'm just on the internet just studying. Just reading everything I could get my hands on. And so, when I'm talking about, I did that for years. Every day. It was as though I became like something like the light came on for me. Before that, it is stupid for me to read books. A whole book? No, I'm not reading no damn fucking book. You got me fucked up. You know what I mean? But after that, man, I'm reading the broader files and just all kinds of stuff. Just fuck my world up, right? Just enlighten me, to a whole bunch of different things. Stay with me. I'm talking about being woke. And I thought I was woke. And I'm studying, I thought I was like an Egyptologist, I'm studying the pyramids of Giza and the other pyramids, and I'm studying the circumference of them, the heights of them, and just how they built them, and just all of that, the burial tombs inside and the rooms inside in the pyramid that most people don't even understand are there. They see the pyramids, but they have no understanding that there are chambers upon chambers upon chambers upon chambers up underneath the pyramids. You know what I mean? Especially the pyramids of Giza. They have no understanding that the pyramids of Giza are perfectly aligned to Orion's belt. So if you're in the pyramids, you can look up and you're right up under one of the stars, and the light can shine through. And there's just so much stuff in regards to that. And so I'm studying this stuff, and I'm studying the Sphinx and all this other stuff. And it's like, man. And the more you learn, the more alive you feel. And if you're not careful, that'll make you feel woke. If you're not careful, that'll make you feel like you're enlightened. If you're not careful, that'll make you feel like, man, I got this. I'm studying all this, and it's like the more I'm reading, it's like the more alive I'm becoming. I'm so hyped and just, man, I gotta read. I'm addicted. I'm a sponge. I can't get enough. And so I'm soaking up air. Man, I'm studying Hitler and his Nazi regime and their understanding of UFOs and alien technology and just all this other stuff. Antarctica and their bases down in Antarctica and all this. Man, I'm studying this stuff in depth. And so, because I'm studying, and most people don't know nothing about the pyramids of Giza. Most people have no understanding whatsoever of Nazis and what they were trying to do. You know, most people have no understanding of the U.S. government and its historical facts or the history of the U.S. government and how it's flipped over regime after regime in other parts of the world. You know, leaders, political leaders, just killed them off, assassinated them. You know what I mean? We have no understanding of how the government, all the lies they told the Native Americans, all the treaties that they wrote, that they violated. You know what I mean? We have no understanding of anything. You know what I mean? We don't, but we swear we're fucking woke. You know what I mean? We don't understand the history of who really killed Kennedy, who really killed Abraham Lincoln. You know what I mean? We have no understanding why these two people were killed. We know they were killed, but we really have no understanding why they were killed and who killed them. We have no understanding of none of the shit that's happened in our country. You know what I mean? But yet we're so fucking woke. And so the more I'm reading and studying all this shit, it's like, man, I'm starting to feel myself because, man, I know all this shit that most other people don't fucking know. I know the fucking moon landing was a fucking hoax and whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. And man, I could tell you da-da-da-da-da-da. And I could tell you about NASA and the real stuff that's going on in NASA and da-da-da-da. I could tell you this shit. But we don't talk about that stuff. That's conspiracy shit. We're talking about being woke. Stay with me. We don't talk about that stuff. We don't really understand that stuff. We don't really understand Bermuda Triangle and why it is the way it is and where it's at and what the Bermuda Triangle really is. You know what I mean? We don't talk about who killed Marilyn Monroe, why she was silenced. Oh, you know, we say it was a drug overdose and all this other bullshit. You know what I mean? Because again, we're spoon-fed information. But we won't do our own due diligence. We won't do our own research. And so many of us, we read, and again, I studied the pyramids of Egypt and all this other, and I thought I was woke. I studied ancient Greece and Roman Empire, and I thought I was woke. I studied the history of Christianity and Constantine and all the shit that he's done, and I thought that made me woke. I studied Islam, and I thought that made me woke. I studied Hinduism and Buddhism and Taoism and all this other stuff, Confucianism. I studied this stuff in depth for hours and hours and hours, hundreds of hours on each of these topics, hundreds of hours. And I thought that made me woke. I studied the Bible from Genesis to Revelation and back and forth, looking for discrepancies, you know what I mean? Looking for errors. And there are some errors in the Bible. And I know we say that the Bible's perfect and it's infallible and it's, you know, it hasn't been corrupted. And the Bible tells you that men are going to take away an ad from the Bible. The Bible tells you that it's going to be messed up. You know what I mean? The Word of God tells you that. But yet we believe that it's perfect the way it is, and it's never been tainted. It's never been corrupted. You know what I mean? God won't allow his word to be corrupted and blah, 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 blah. That's our ignorance. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. But I studied that stuff in depth. And I thought that made me woke. I studied masonry. I'm a mason now. Man, I have access to the material. I'm high up in mason. I have access to the material. And so I'm studying all this stuff for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. And I thought that made me woke. All these things did is give me a conscious awareness of their existence. That's all those things did. I studied what it meant to be a witch, what it meant, or the Salem massacres and all these other things. I studied this stuff in depth. I studied Lemuria, you know what I mean, and Atlantis. Man, I got deep into this stuff. Why? Because, man, I want to be awoke. I want to be woke. I want to be enlightened. I want Buddha conscious, Christ conscious, God. I want to be there. And so I'm studying all of this stuff for hours. Because I thought that made me woke. I studied this book, came out, I want to say in 91, somewhere around that time frame. The destruction of the, I can't even think of it now, but it's the destruction of American, the deliberate dumbing down of American. The deliberate dumbing down of America. You know what I mean? And so I'm reading this book. It's like 700 some freaking pages, right? And so I'm reading and just taking notes and like, what the fuck? How the fuck are they going to put this shit in books? And then, man, they're telling us all this shit. They're telling us their plan. They're telling us what their agendas are. And what do. Man, I can't remember the lady's name who started the Planned Parenthood. You know what I mean? And I studied, like, how the fuck? This lady was a known racist. She hated black people. She made it known she hated black people, and she wanted to support abortion and all this other stuff to minimize and to eliminate black babies. And I'm studying the Democratic Party. I'm studying the Republican Party. And I'm trying to figure out how the fuck can black people be so gung-ho being a Democrat, not even understanding that a lot of these motherfuckers are talking about they hate black people and they want to kill black people. But we're taught to hate Republicans. I don't give a fuck about neither party. I don't give a damn about Republicans or Democrats, conservatives, none of this shit. I don't want nothing to do with none of it. That's me. But I thought that shit made me woke. But the more I studied all of that stuff, the more angry I became. The more bitter I became. Especially when I started getting into the pharmaceutical companies and industry and their control of the government. And I started looking at the military complex, you know, and their control of the government. And all the billions of dollars that are made to silently destroy us. All Americans. All people. You know what I mean? I started looking at the women's movement and who funded that and why they funded that. There's so many different things that you could get caught up on and just spend hundreds of hours studying. And it'll make you feel enlightened. It'll make you feel woke. And a lot of it is going to make you feel bitter and angry. And what God had to show me was, Elijah, you spent years studying all of this stuff. I could ask you anything about this, and you know this. I could ask you about the government. I could ask you about the Catholic Church and their control over the world's religions, over all world's religions. They control all Christianity. They control Islam. They control all of it. You know what I mean? I can ask you about any of this stuff, and you can just and just regurgitate and just spit out all of this information. Let me ask you a question, though, Elijah. Because you could tell me about the fake moon landing. You could tell me about the Kennedy assassination. You could tell me about why they killed Abraham Lincoln. You could tell me about all this stuff. You could tell me about why they broke the treaties with every Native American tribe that they ever wrote one with. You could tell me the millions of Native Americans that's been slaughtered. You could tell me about how the Puritans and all these other groups came to America and how they fucked up the Native Americans. Fucked them up emotionally and physically, psychologically, in every way you can. You could tell me about all this stuff, Elijah. You could tell me about the sexism in America. You could tell me about the women's movement, how that started, why that started. You could tell me about the trilateral committee, the Bilderberg group, and all these other secret groups that run the world. You could tell me about all this stuff. And that makes you feel woke. You're aware of all of this stuff, Elijah. But who are you? Who are you? And so I'm sitting there and I'm getting indignant, you know. How the fuck you gonna ask me who am I, God? Man, I'm ElijahAmmi, man, and I'm a 32nd degree master mason, and I'm in the Air Force, I'm a single parent, and I'm He said, that's not who you are. What's your purpose, Elijah? So like, man, I'm trying to take care of my kids. My purpose is to take care of my kids, and I'm a single parent, and I'm doing it all by myself. And man, this is what I'm doing. And he said, what's your purpose? Why are you here? Did you come to this planet just to read and study about history and all the corrupt shit that's gone on, all the hateful shit that's gone on? Do you think I sent you here to get on that low frequency? Do you think I sent you here to start a race war with white people? Do you think I sent you here to sleep with every woman you could? Do you think I sent you here to chase the dollar bill? Do you think I sent you here to study history so in depth that you could be a history teacher at a college? And you could regurgitate all this stuff and tell me everything about history that you know as if I don't already fucking know it? Talking about being woke. What makes you feel like you fucking woke? How the fuck can you be woke and you don't know who the fuck you are? You could tell me your fucking experiences. I didn't ask you about your daddy murdering your mama when you was 2. I didn't ask you about you being in the system for months or you been placed with your aunt in that fucking religious household. I didn't ask you about you being molested twice by those Christians, people who fake and said that they had a relationship with me, but they didn't. And they don't. I didn't ask you about that bullshit. I asked you, who are you? I didn't ask you about your marriage and your failed marriage. I didn't ask you about your baby mamas. Or your baby mama. I only had one baby mama at the time. I didn't ask you about that shit. I didn't ask you about the UFOs and Egypt and Ethiopia and all. I didn't ask you about Lemuria and Atlantis and Bermuda. I know this shit. Who the fuck are you? Why the fuck are you here? You think your fucking job is to expose all this shit? To tell people what transpired to Native Americans and the Holocaust that they were inflicted on them? Do you think that you came here to tell the people about the dollar collapsing? Or the truth about the history of Christianity? That's why you think you came here? Who the fuck are you? Why are you here? Why do you do the stuff that you do? Why do you think the way you think? Why do you feel the way you feel? You can tell me everything under the fucking sun, how far the earth is from this fucking sun. And if it was just a little bit closer, the earth would burn up. If it was just a little bit further, the earth would freeze. I know this shit. I put the shit into place. I don't need you telling me that shit. I don't need you telling me the gravitational pull of the moon on earth and how the earth affects the moon. I don't need you telling me this shit. I know this shit. Who the fuck are you? Don't tell me about fucking Hollywood and all the groups in Hollywood. Don't tell me about their fucking agendas. I didn't ask you about that bullshit. I know you study that shit, and I don't give a fuck about that. That's not why you're here. Who are you? Why are you here? You think you came here just to have babies? Just to go to work? So man, Elijah, you studied all this shit. All of this shit. And you don't know who the fuck you are. You could tell me about Princess Diana and why they had her killed. How is it, Elijah, you could tell me about all these motherfuckers on the planet, but you can't tell me about you? How is it you could tell me about George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, and all these other people? All of these, the reason why we went to World War II and the reason why we went to World War I, you could tell me all this shit, but you can't tell me about you. You could tell me the agendas and the reasoning for all these other fucking things. But you can't tell me the reason why you're here. You can't tell me the reason why you think and feel the way you do. Why you react the way you do. And he said, Elijah, you don't think that's a fucking problem? You don't see the irony in that? How is it you could tell me about Martin Luther King, but you love Malcolm X? You could tell me all about Malcolm. You could tell me all about Marcus Garvey, W.E.B. Du Bois, and all these other great people. That whoever you deem to be great, you could tell me about these people and their contribution to America, but you can't tell me about who the fuck you are, and why you're here. Who are you? How the fuck are you aware of all this other shit, but you're not even aware of your own fucking thought process? How the fuck are you aware and woke to all this bullshit, but you're not even aware or cognizant of why you do what the fuck you do? Why you feel the way you feel? You're not even aware of your fucking purpose. It's like, Elijah, how backwards is that? How asinine is that? Talking about being woke. And the trip is, man, when Matrix came out, man, that was like a revolutionary movie. That was like so eye-opening. But we missed it. We missed it. What am I talking about? We got so captivated with Neo and Morpheus and all these other people. And we could talk to you about their stories. We could talk to you about their roles in the movie and woo, the red pill versus the blue pill and blah, blah, blah. But we missed it. It's a process. Being woke is a process. See, here's the trip God had to show me. Elijah, you could be woke, physically woke, and yet physically useless. You could be physically woke and not do a damn thing. You could be physically woke and never get out the fucking bed. You could be physically woke and never speak a fucking word. You so caught up in being fucking woke. You missed it. You fucking missed it. See, you think it's all that to be woke. It's not about being woke. It's about understanding who the fuck you are. It's about understanding why you are here. Don't get caught up in all the bullshit. Don't get distracted with all the bullshit. Stop wasting your fucking time. Stop wasting your fucking energy on this stupid, useless shit that's not doing a damn thing to enhance the growth and development, the healing process of humanity. We have to grow up. Elijah, this is God talking. I don't give a damn about how many books of the Bible you could quote. You could quote all 66 books of them. You can know all of them. And that don't mean shit to me. I'm not impressed by that. I'm not moved by that. I didn't send you here just to memorize this book. I sent you here for a reason. Understand all that you've gone through. Understand all that you've learned. Understand all of your experiences can be beneficial. But you have to understand, how can I use this stuff to help people heal? How can I use this stuff to help me heal? To help me understand who the hell I am? To help me understand why I do what I do. That's why we're here. That's why we're supposed to share our stories and become transparent with each other, because we need each other to grow. Iron sharpens iron. Iron sharpens iron. I need another strong brother. When I say brother, I'm not talking about a black man. I'm talking about another male, another man. I need another sister, not a black woman, another female to help iron me, to help sharpen me. I don't give a fuck about your color. I don't give a fuck about your nationality or your ethnicity. Because who you are, is it the fucking color of your skin? That just gives you some experiences. But you could be a different color and experience the same shit. So don't get caught up in the fucking color of your skin. That's just the fucking shell. That's not who you are. Why, when I ask you who you are, first thing you say, I'm a black man, and because that's not who the fuck you are. We have to grow up. Man, I hope and pray that something's been said, shared, that helps you understand. And we have to grow up. You know what I mean? We have to understand who we are and why we're here, and get busy about that. I love you guys. Happy healing. Peace.